to provide for establishment of Federal University of Technology, Omoku, Rivers State, and other related matters. 2025 be read the third time. A bill for an act to amend the Federal University of Technology Act to provide for establishment of Federal University of Technology, Asaba, Delta State, and for other related matters, 2025 be now read the third time. A bill for an act to amend the Federal University of Technology Act to provide for establishment of the Yaba Federal University of Technology and Vocational Training, Yaba, Lagos State, and other related matters, 2025, be now read the third time. A bill for an act to amend the Federal University of Technology. I didn't read it. I've read it. A bill for an act to amend the Federal University of Technology Act to provide for establishment of Federal University of Technology, OFA, in Kwara State, and for other related matters, 2025, be now read the third time. A bill for an act to amend the Federal University of Technology Act to provide for establishment of Federal University of Technology, Uduapani, Cross River State, and for other related matters, 2025, be now read the third time. A bill for an act to establish Federal University, bringing Kebbi State, to ensure equity and access to tertiary education in the country. The university is a conventional university with restricted program and limited and focused facilities, and for other related matters, be now read the third time. A bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Science, Deba, Gombe State, to make provision for its doing management and administration, and for related matter 2025, be now read the third time. A bill for an act to provide for establishment of Federal University of Science and Technology, Epe, Lagos State, and to make comprehensive provision for its doing management and administration, and for other related matter 2025, be now read the third time.
The Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that the bills enumerated therein be read a third time. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the bills have been enumerated by the Leader of the Senate, and a motion moved to the effect that they now be read a third time, and the Minority Leader has accordingly seconded the motion. Those in support that these bills be now read a third time, say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I will for an act to amend the Federal Universities of Technology Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology, Omoko, Rivers State, and for related matters 2025. Third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to amend the Federal Universities of Technology Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology, Asaba, Delta State, and for other related matters 2025, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to amend the Federal Universities of Technology Act to provide for the establishment of the Yaba Federal University of Technology and Vocational Training, Yaba, Lagos State, and for other related matters 2025, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to amend the Federal Universities of Technology Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology of Kwara State and for other related matters 2025, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Universities of Technology Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal Universities of Technology, Odukpani, Cross River State, and for other related matters, 2025, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University, Birni Kebbi State, and to make provisions for its due management and administration, and for other related matters, 2025, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Science, Deba, Gombe State, and to make provision for its due management and administration, and for related matters, 2025, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Science and Technology, Ekpe, Lagos State, and to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration, and for other related matters, 2025, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Universities of Technology Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology, Omoku, in Rivers State, and for other related matters, third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Universities of Technology Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology, Asaba, Delta State, and for other related matters, 2025, third reading. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Universities of Technology Act to provide for the establishment of the Yaba Federal University of Technology and Vocational Training, Yaba, Lagos State, and for other related matters, 2025, third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Universities of Technology Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology, OFA, Kwara State, and for other related matters, 2025, third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Universities of Technology Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology, Odukpani, Cross River State, and for other related matters, 2025, third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University, Plenary, Kebbi State, to make provision for its due management and administration, and for other related matters, 2025, third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Sciences, Deba, in Gombe State, to make provision for its due management and administration, and for related matters, 2025, third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Science and Technology, Ekpe, Lagos State, and to make comprehensive provision for its due management and administration, and for other related matters, 2025, third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Universities of Technology Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology, Omoku, in Rivers State, and for other related matters, third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Universities of Technology Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology, Asaba, Delta State, and for other related matters 2025. Third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Universities of Technology Act to provide for the establishment of the Yaba Federal University of Technology and Vocational Training, Yaba, Lagos State, and for other related matters 2025. Third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Universities of Technology Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology (OFA) in Kwara State and for other related matters 2025. Third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Universities of Technology Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology Odukpani, Cross River State, and for other related matters 2025. Third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Benin Kebbi State, to make provision for its due management and administration, and for related matters 2025. Third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Science, Deba, in Gombe State, to make provision for its due management and administration, and for related matters 2025. Third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Science and Technology, Ekpe, Lagos State, and to make comprehensive provision for its due management and administration, and for other related matters 2025. Third reading taken and passed. Let me, on behalf of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Telephone, commend the Chairman, Distinguished Senator Danjussi, and all the members of the committee for the very wonderful job that they have done. And to say that the number of institutions created by this August Assembly today clearly show the determination of this administration to keep the doors of education wider and to narrow the doors of prisons in this country. Determination to use education as a tool to fight insecurity and hunger. Determination to provide affordable and close proximity to educational facilities in the nation. My prayer is that God will grant the President and the managers of the educational sector the enablement to fully equip these institutions, so they will not just be mere blocks and chips, but they will clearly be citadels of learning that will change the situation of this country. I must also commend my colleagues for their contributions and to say that there is no year that we do not have over 2 million Nigerian children unable to secure admission to tertiary education. There is no year after every JAM. So today, what we have done will reduce at least by 50% the number of children roaming the streets and searching for years to have higher educational opportunities. And this in turn will stop them from being lured into acts of criminality that will be inimical to the progress and development of this country. So I congratulate you, and I look forward to celebrating with the various communities and the various states that these institutions have been established. And finally, I must say that this is totally uncommon. It has never happened in any Senate since 1999. But this is because this is a corrective Senate that wants to address the yearnings and aspirations of all Nigerians. These are the institutions that Nigerians want. Nigerians want the opportunities. May God Almighty help these universities, and may Nigerians benefit from these universities, and may this be a turning point in the literacy level of our dear country. Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the third order of the day is presentation and consideration of reports of Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petition in respect of petition from MS Nimi Sandra Ari against the management of West African Examination Council for her unjust and wrongful dismissal from the council in 2023, and petition from Matthew Edageze on behalf of Mr. Fidelis Omoria against National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, for the murder of a 2-year-old Ona Sereba Omaria and the shooting in the eye of the younger one, Eroman Sele Omiura, by men of NDLEA on 13 July 2023 in Asaba, Delta State. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Imasmeneda Bernard to move the motion for the Senate to receive and consider the report of the committee.
Distinguished brother, Senator Neda, you'll be surprised where my eye went to. My eye went to the other seat. And all of a sudden, I was about to say you are not in chambers. So once again, I welcome you to the All Progressive Congress and the party of the future.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you again for the upgrade. I'm Senator Neda Emaswan, representing Edo South Senatorial District, Chairman, Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petition. Mr. President, permit me to move a motion to lay two petitions. One petition of Ms. Nimi Sandra Hari against the management of West African Examination Council, WAEC, for unjust and wrongful dismissal from council in 2023. And the second petition from Mr. Matthew Edegase Esquire on behalf of Mr. Fidelis Ohorea against National Drug Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, for the murder of a 2-year-old Onosureba Omoria and the shooting in the eye of his younger one, Erunsele Omoria, by men of the NDLA on 13th July 2023 in Asaba, Delta State. With your permission, Mr. President, I would like to lay these two reports simultaneously.
Yes, you may proceed to lay the reports. Distinguished Senator Neda, may wish to give us the summary of the two reports,
Thank you, Mr.
particularly
President.
your findings and recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first report is that of Ms. Nimi Sandra Harry against the management of West African Examination Council. Mr. President, this is a report that borders on the dismissal of the petitioner stemming from infraction in her duty. She was accused of substituting examination reports for students who didn't even take the exam. And inquiry was set up and she was found guilty by WAEC. We also look at the report and listen to both parties, both the petitioner and WAEC. And we found that 5 candidates who did not write examinations had their scripts smuggled in to the examination room and into envelopes. Ms. Nimi Sandra Harry was found to have been complicated in the matter by providing the key to the examination room in her custody for them to perpetrate the act. Having fully examined the report, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the committee recommended as follows. That the Senate to urge the West Africa Examination Council to commute the dismissal of Ms. Nimi Sandra Harry to retirement, considering the years she has put in public service, and also considering the fact that until this event, there had never been any infraction or any report against her in her records. We just thought that having put in 21 years of service, that this one act, even though grave, should be committed to retirement rather than outright dismissal. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the second report is that of the 2 children that were shot by the NDLA. And that's a report of Mr. Matthew Ederase Esquire on behalf of Fidelis Omerua. This case is very pathetic, Mr. President, because we have a 2-year-old that was inadvertently shot and killed by NDLA while they were carrying out some operations, and have the second child bullet into his eyes that has rendered that child almost blind. The reports, our investigation indicates that this child will need an extensive surgery to correct the eyes. We have engaged, and we did engage NDLA to show humaneness in trying to help the family, at least with the dead child and the child whose eyes is almost going blind. The NDLA, unfortunately, were not cooperating. They told us that they didn't have the finances, and so they were not offering anything, even to the family, for the 2-year-old child that was killed and buried, and for the child that is going blind. We had more than 3 sittings on this, and it became clear to us that NDLA wasn't going to budge. They weren't going to help us to help this family. Therefore, we recommended that given the grievances of the incident to the Omera family, that the Senate to direct the National Drug Enforcement Agency, NDLA, to pay the sum of 200 million naira only to Fidelis Omera as compensation for the death of his 2-year-old son and his younger brother who was shot in the eye that may result in him going blind. Mr. President, this is our finding, and we truly believe that this family needs to be protected from such agency that I believe can pay at least to ameliorate the loss, the huge loss to this family. Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, for the opportunity for us to interrogate this matter and to serve the average Nigerians who seek for justice in every sphere of life. Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues.
Well, distinguished Senator Garba.
Thank you very much, the Senate President, my distinguished colleagues. My name is Garba Musa Maidoki, representing Kebbi South Senatorial District. Distinguished colleagues, this case of the children that were shot and one of them died and one of them almost lost his eye is pathetic. Distinguished colleague, this is a country where there is no consequence. And once you don't have consequences for actions taken, impunity is what follows. I would have really loved to see the committee going far to indict the officers that shot these children and recommended them for prosecution. Be as it is.
Distinguished Senator Garba.
Yes, sir.
Let's finish the first report.
Okay, the first one, sir.
Yes.
Okay, the first one, sir. Your Excellency.
That is the one on WAEC.
On WAEC, sir. It's really pathetic, sir. WAEC used to be regarded as the benchmark, the gold standard of educational certification in the world. And today, nobody thinks so much of WAEC because of activities of certain individuals. I am most saddened that this lady that has put in 20-something years, 31 years, can compromise all this service and compromise the integrity of this country by found wanting to do these very diabolical and unethical things. It is my candid opinion that this woman does not only need to be dismissed, she needs to be prosecuted, sir. Because of the pain and that she has put the whole country and the institution and the quality of education that is regarded. Now, Your Excellency, you realize that WAEC, our children now have to do other certification exams before they get admissions into foreign universities. Without prejudice to what the committee has recommended, sir, it is my candid opinion that this woman has done so much injustice to all of us, to all the children, to the image of Nigeria, to the qualification and certification of WAEC, that she deserves no mercy and no reprieve, and that she should be even prosecuted, is my submission on the WAEC, sir. Do I go ahead and do for the second one, sir? Okay, that's my submission, the Senate President.
Distinguished Senator Oshomole.
Thank you, Mr. President, sir. My name is Adams Eric Ali Oshomole, comrade. I spent all my life defending workers and defending working families. But in so doing, we do it not because out of emotion. The overall intention is to ensure justice and fairness in the workplace. Reading through this report, while I appreciate the effort of my brother, not just a brother as a senator, but brother by blood, I think that he has already nailed this woman. She committed atrocities, to quote the last speaker, and in an ideal society, she's a candidate for prison. If he is guilty of the offense, as the committee recommended, what is the basis of commuting her dismissal to retirement, so that the Nigerian taxpayers, including those who are victims of this abuse, when they do start working, they use their money to pay pension for someone who wants to be in prison? These are serious criminal offenses. This Senate, under your common leadership, must be seen not to bow to sentiment. This woman deserves more serious punishment than retirement. I have had cause to say to people, if the wages of abuse of office, if the wages of corrupt practices, if the wages of all of the road twists that characterize a segment of our public sector is that in the end, when you are caught, you are asked to retire. Nobody wants to die on the job. So she not only deserves dismissal, this Senate should recommend to the Attorney General that candidates like this should be punished as a deterrent, so that we restore integrity in our examination board. So I am unable to accept this recommendation by this disciplinary committee headed by very good brother. There must be sanction. If you spare the rod, you spoil the child. Thank you, sir.
Actually, distinguished Senator Shumole, when I saw it, I felt the same way. But I wasn't in the committee meeting to know what transpired. Because sometimes maybe Senator Neda, this one you are stepping aside. Are you sure we are not going to ask you questions? Or you want to approach the chair? You need to, because let me tell you why I saw it. But I said there must be other conditions or circumstances that the committee found that led to this kind of recommendation. Otherwise, this is outright dismissal. So let me hear him. Distinguished colleagues, let me, Senator Antonio Ani, you want to add something?
Mr. President, dear colleagues, I'm Senator Professor Anthony Ani. I represent Ebonyi South. I want to draw attention to 4.1 of the petition. Mr. President, the content of that 4.1, sub 1 and sub 2 and 3, first one says that the petitioner, Ms. Nimi Sandra Harry, accepted the fact that the envelope or the envelopes were tampered with. And if you go to sub 3, it is indicated that indeed committed the act of tearing the envelopes. To me, these are grievous offenses rather. And if we are to go by the report of the committee, it means it shouldn't have got to the public domain. It shouldn't have come to us. If we accept the report as it is, our integrity is put to question. So I'm of the opinion, and strongly so, that this person, this candidate, should face the full wrath of the law. The law should run its full course. That's my stand. So I submit, Mr. President. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, please look at the report again. You see observations and findings. On 3, that Mr. Raymond Obi, one of the staff, West African Examination Councils, that had access to the scripts room and did actually carry out the swapping, confessed that Ms. Nimi Sandra Hari showed him where to retrieve the script envelopes while she was in the scripts room, and that Mr. Joseph Pepu was the one who requested him to carry out the swapping, as the candidates were known to Mr. Pepu. Let me say that it will amount to insanity on the part of this Senate to overlook this kind of grievous offense. From what Senator Oshumule said, there's even another danger to it. The danger here is that the Senate do urge the West African Examination Council to commute the dismissal of Ms. Nimi Sandra Hari to retirement, considering the years she had put into the service of the council, 31 years. This means that anybody who has put in more than 30 years and is preparing to retire can begin to commit fraud and tamper with the examination scripts for monetary gains. You understand? If we go ahead to accept this recommendation, we're encouraging people to tamper with examination scripts. If you know what WAEC is, as a student in the university, there was a child that went to WAEC and they used the WAEC final script where she had P8 or F9. They would change it to give her something like maybe C5. Everything looked original, but when you look at the original examination results they sent to the schools, as you are looking, you go and discover that English language she had P8, but then on the paper she presented, everything was the same, except that English language she now has C5. And so it was discovered to be fake. That child was arrested and was dismissed from the university. If we have dishonest staff like this, I don't think it's something that should even come to the Senate. So, Chairman of the committee, I'll put the question because there's no need for us to debate further. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate accept the recommendation of the committee that this grievous offense, which has been proven by 3 investigative panels, be committed to retirement instead of dismissal? Those in support of the recommendation as stated herein say aye. Those against say nay. The nays have it. So the woman is in the opinion of the Senate duly dismissed from service, and the recommendation fails. So she stays dismissed accordingly. Second report, Senator Garba.
Thank you very much, the Senate President, my distinguished colleagues. My name is Garba Musa Maidoki, Senator representing Kebbi South Senatorial District. On the second report, distinguished Senate President, is quite pathetic and very unfortunate. And this translates to how security operatives regard the lives of Nigerians. We all have constituencies that we are protecting. And we are all living witnesses in other countries where security forces use excessive force. And some of them were held accountable and they went to court and some of them went to jail. So it is quite unfortunate, sir, that in the 21st century that we are, today, the operatives can go to somebody's house for whatever operation, kill somebody, maim the other one without remorse whatsoever. It is my opinion that these operatives be brought out and be prosecuted just like it happens in other countries. Recently, it happened in the US, sir. We saw where excessive force were used and the security operatives were taken to court and some of them are in jail. So we can't accept this in Nigeria, where we give you uniform, we pay you, and then you go and kill Nigerians that you are supposed to protect. So I subscribe that this family be paid this amount of compensation so that they can take care of the treatment of the second person who is shot in the eye, and also as a reparation for the one that was killed for not just reason. I so submit, the Senate President. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, if there is no other contribution, we'll go straight. Oh, yeah, Senator Gadaga.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Benson Agadaga, representing Bayelsa East Senatorial District in Bayelsa State, I rise to lend my voice to the need for people to be professional in carrying out their functions, most especially our security agencies. It will be out of place for law enforcement agencies to go to a place and start shooting sporadically and killing anyhow and showing no unreasonable concern. What they are saying here, they gave 1 million naira, they gave this, is not adequate. Even though take care of the person they wounded, somebody has lost his life, somebody is dead from the same family. Yet they are giving a lot of excuses. When these agencies act without outside their purview, they should be called to question. I think the officer involved should also be called to question, so to answer questions about the way he operated in that exercise. I am supporting the idea that the 200 million naira recommended should stand, and the officer involved should be called to question. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, I want to commend the committee.
Mr. President.
But we have a slight constraint honestly, for a child to have died and for another child to have lost his eye and will require multiple surgeries, 200 million, if the surgeries are done outside the country, may not even be enough to restore the sight of one child. Not to talk of the loss of another child that probably would have grown up to be another millionaire or billionaire. And the family has been denied the opportunity of seeing that child. The pain is too much. So we must urge NDLA to act with restraint. So 200 million is not too much, but there is a problem with our rules. So if you look at Rule 40, sub 6, I can read it for you. The Senate will not receive any petition which asks for a grant of public funds. The Senate will not receive any petition which asks for a grant of public funds unless the recommendation of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has been signified thereto. Neda, you have answer to that?
Yes, Mr. President. I'm just looking through the Order 40 sub 6. This is not a grant. We're not asking for a grant, Mr. President. This is more of a punitive and a deterrent measures against NDLA. It's not a grant.
Sorry, monetary compensation is a grant. You are requesting for monetary compensation that might not have been budgeted for, that will touch on the consolidated revenue fund of the Federation or the account of the monies of the Federation of Nigeria, because NDLA is a 100% owned federal government organization. So for us to have that, it means that the President must have consented to financial compensation. So I think we can redraft our recommendation. You understand? To rather recommend that this Senate should recommend that Mr. President should assist the NDLA to pay this monetary compensation. And I don't think it's something we just ask for payment and keep quiet. We should follow up. And even if they say we should, whenever they bring budget, we should budget for it. We should also ensure that we follow up and budget for it to make sure that this family is compensated. And we've already recommended 200 million. My opinion would have been that the amount should have been more than this. Or 200 million plus the cost of the restoration of the eye of the one that is still living. So that they'll get 200 million compensation, and then the NDLA will bear the cost of the medicals for the one that one eye is, that they are still attempting to restore one eye. This is very pathetic. I mean, there's no grammar we can speak here that can replace the pains that this family and the associates are going through. So, Chairman, you may wish to redraft this section in view of section 46, that there is no presidential assent. So you may wish to urge the Senate to work with legislative compliance to ensure that Mr. President assists to a monetary compensation of 200 million plus the cost of the surgeries needed by the second child whose eye was damaged by bullets and who requires multiple surgeries. So that it's not this same money that they will use for surgeries. In view of the fact that one child has already died, there must be an end to suffering. So if you can amend this recommendation to reflect what, and then bring it in line with our rules, we can go ahead and consider the recommendation. Can you work with Senator Garuba and redraft that section so that we can take it? We haven't even finished with what, but you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Mr. President, your explanation is quite compelling, and I have no difficulties in understanding it. First, it's about not the officer now being punished. If federal money, agency money is used to pay compensation, the officer involved in this murder completely pays no price. I think, sir, that other than the president of Nigeria, the vice president, the governors and deputy governors, no any other Nigeria has immunity from prosecution. If law enforcement officers become murderers, and in this case, a human being has been murdered, money does not compensate for murder. I'm not a lawyer, but when it involves serious case of murder, the courts don't impose monetary compensation. The appropriate thing to do, in my view, Mr. President, is to recommend to the Attorney General of the Federation that this murderer wearing NDLA uniform should be prosecuted according to Nigerian law with regards to the with regards to murder. The laws are clear. For the one that is who is alive and they need to treat and all of that, fine. Whatever needs to be done can be done. But for the killing of someone, officers need to know that the uniform is not a license to kill and go home and sleep with your own children. May it not happen to any of us. And money does not compensate for a loss of a child who is completely innocent. So my second in drafting the prayers is that the Senate do recommend to the Attorney General of the Federation that they should further investigate this case with a view to prosecuting the officer or officers involved in this avoidable murder of a Nigerian child. I so submit, Mr. President.
Yes, let me say that the information available is that the officer in question is being prosecuted. So they are not treating it with levity. I know that at the end it could be manslaughter because it might not have been intentional murder. Definitely they will not want to go and shoot a 2-year-old child. But because the act occurred through his indiscretion, so he's being prosecuted. And this other child is undergoing medical treatment. I think we should even direct that NDLA should bear the full cost of the medical treatment, while the monetary compensation should be referred to Mr. President for, how do I put it, for further necessary action on compassionate grounds. Senator Neda, so the monetary compensation should be routed through Mr. President for compensation on compassionate grounds, while NDLA is hereby directed to bear the full cost of the surgeries and treatment of the second child who still has a bullet in one eye. And please, this is not a case where we just pass a resolution. This is one case that the Senate Committee on Legislative Compliance must revert to this Senate within the next 1 month, or maybe highest 2 months, so that we know what is happening and we know the next step to take. Because this is very sad. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. The amendment to the recommendations are these. 1, that the Senate do recommend that the Senate urge the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to assist NDLA in the payment of 200 million naira in compensation for the death of the 2-year-old of the 2-year-old. 2, that NDLA be made to pay for the medical expenses, including surgeries, for the restoration of the eye of the second child. 3, that the Committee on Compliance follow up with these recommendations and report back to Senate in 2 months.
Any seconder? Senator Shu, is amending the prayers.
He has probably missed out the issue of prosecuting.
No, that one is already ongoing. So
Okay.
it's ongoing. So, Senator Garba.
Thank you very much, the Senate President, distinguished colleagues. I rise to second the amended prayers that the President do assist with the payment of the 200 million for the mother of the 2-year-old, and that NDLE should pay the full cost, should bear the full cost of the restoration and the medical treatment of the one that was shot in the eye, and that compliance should ensure compliance and report back to plenary in 2 months. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, we must thank the Committee on Ethics, Code of Conduct, and Public Petitions for the painstaking manner in which they dispose of this petition. But because of how serious it is, we do something out of the extraordinary. We observe 1 minute silence in honor of the dead child. Secondly, we have a motion on ground proposing that the Senate should urge Mr. President to approve a financial compensation of 200 million to be paid to the family of the dead child as a result of the negligence or negligent action of the NDLEA staff as soon as practicable. Second leg of the motion is to the effect that the NDLEA should bear the full cost of the surgeries and medical treatment of the second child who still has a bullet lodged in one of his eyes. The third prayer is that our Committee on Legislative Compliance should monitor the situation closely, follow up from the Presidency to the NDLEA and to the family, and revert to this Senate in 2 months. Prayer 1, observe 1 minute silence in honor of the dead child. Those in support of the prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, urge the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to, through the NDLEA, compensate this family with a sum of 200 million for the loss of the child and the disability of the second child. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, urge the Senate Committee on Legislative Compliance to monitor the situation on the compensation, the treatment, and the surgeries on the second child, and revert to the Senate in 2 months. Those in support of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, please, despite the fact that this was a child, this is very pathetic. On behalf of the 10th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, our heart goes out to the family of the deceased child, which is also the family of the very injured child. And we are praying that God will console them and restore the sight of the second child that had been damaged. and we will follow up. And individually, we should also try to know the families so that we can also render assistance on our own personal capacities as the people's representative to these families. We express our condolence, and we now urge our colleagues to rise to observe 1 minute silence for this child who was a Nigerian and could have been a leader tomorrow. May the soul of the 2-year-old Onosereba Omoria, who was mistakenly shot by an NDLE officer in an operation in Asaba, rest in perfect peace. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the fourth order of the day is a motion. The fourth order of the day is a motion standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Ume Victor and 7 others on the demise of Honorable Chief Agunwa Anekwe, OFR, former Speaker of the House of Representatives. Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Ume Victor to move the motion.
Minority Leader. Ome, Senator Ome, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, this motion is on the demise of Right Honorable Chief Agunwa Anekwe, OFR, former Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives. Mr. President, this motion is sponsored by 7 of his colleagues in the House of Representatives between 1992 and 1993, who are members of this current Senate. Their names are listed: Senator Mongono, Ojuzokalo, Patrick Ndubeze, Olarere Oyewumi, Abdulhamid Mala Maduri Ahmed, Senator Bilvis Aliu Ikra, and Senator Rufai Hanga. These were his colleagues. And then Senator Aso, who served as his chief press secretary then, but now is senator. Mr. President, the Senate notes with deep sense of sorrow the passing of Right Honorable Chief Agunwa Anekwe, OFR, a distinguished former Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, who died on Sunday, July 6, 2025, at the age of 69. The Senate also notes that Chief Agunwa Anekwe, born in Adaziani, an Ocha local government area of Anambra State, made history in 1992 when, just at the age of 36, he was elected Speaker of the House of Representatives during Nigeria's State Republic, which made him become the youngest Nigerian to have ever held that position. The Senate further notes that during his tenure as the Speaker of the House of Representatives, late Chief Anekwe provided courageous and principled leadership at a critical junction in Nigeria's democratic history, resisting efforts by anti-democratic forces to erode the independence of the legislature and ensuring that the House of Representatives remained the true voice of the Nigerian people. The Senate recalls that although his term was truncated by the military dissolution of democratic institutions on 17 November 1993, his principled stand and patriotic service to Nigeria left a legacy that continues to inspire legislators across Nigeria. Aware that he was a member of the All Progressives Congress, APC, National Caucus, member of the National Executive Council of the APC as ex officio, a seasoned lawyer, an administrator, and a real estate entrepreneur. And also aware that after a period away from public service, Chief Anekwe remained active in nation building, contributing intellectually and politically, and upholding the values of democracy, justice, and patriotism, and that he was a recipient of national honors, a mentor to many leaders, and an exemplary son of Anambra State and Nigeria as a whole. The Senate accordingly resolves to observe 1 minute of solemn silence in honor of the life and legacy of the late Right Honorable Chief Agonwa Anekwe, to mandate a delegation to pay a condolence visit to the family of the deceased, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the Governor of Anambra State, to set up a committee to liaise with the House of Representatives to plan for his funeral as a former Vice Chairman of the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And finally, urge the federal government to immortalize the late Chief Agonwa Anekwe by naming a national public institution or edifice in his honor in recognition of his service to Nigeria and the cause of democracy. Mr. President, he was my constituent and hailed from the same local government with me. He was a very strong member of the APC. I so move. Thank you very much.
Before the Chief Whip seconds the motion, let me announce the presence of the Deputy Speaker of the Parliament of Malawi and members of his delegation in our gallery to observe our proceeding of today. They are standing up there. We have Honorable Madaliso Kazombo, who is the first Deputy Speaker and leader of the delegation. Then we have Honorable Commissioner George Zulu, Member of Parliament, Honorable Commissioner Mary Mpanga, Member of Parliament, Honorable Commissioner Lillian Patel, Member of Parliament, Honorable Commissioner Aksin Kalele Banda, Member of Parliament, Mr. Chikundi Kachinka, Deputy Clerk of Parliament, Corporate Services, Mr. MacDonald Kabundu, Head of Human Resources, Mr. Ian Mwenye, Head of Protocol, Public Relations, and Civil Education, and last but not the least, Mr. Songi Kalumo, Personal Assistant to the Parliamentary Service Commission. You are all welcome to the Nigerian Senate. And the Senate President will also welcome you. The members of Parliament of Malawi.
So let me join the Deputy Senate President to welcome our colleagues from Malawi. So you are welcome. Please, you may be seated. And we use this opportunity to also welcome you to our refreshment room immediately after this sitting, so that we can interact with one another. So you're welcome. Wish you fruitful visit to Nigeria. and journey mercies back to Malawi. Distinguished colleagues, we're on the last motion for the day. Is there any Deputy Whip of the Senate? No, the Chief Whip of the Senate. You have the floor.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rose to order, please. I rose to contribute to this motion on the demise of the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Agua Anoke, because my path crossed with the deceased in the defunct Third Republic when I was a member of the House of Representatives and he was the Speaker of the House of Representatives in 1992. As a Speaker of the House of Representatives then, Mr. President, I wish to report that he is a passionate defender of the rule of law. He is a true Democrat. He was a patriot and was a true Democrat, in the sense that as a democratically elected National Assembly, when the military came off with the idea of diarchy, that is a military government coexisting with a democratically elected parliament, they came up with an obnoxious and draconian decree that tends to restrict powers, legislative powers of parliament to only on matters on antiquity and culture. We are not allowed to legislate on any other matter. We are only allowed to legislate on matters that relates to culture and antiquity. The late Mr. Agua Anoke, as Speaker of the House of Representatives, mobilized us to stand off against the military so that we can exercise the true powers of a legislature to legislate on peace, order, and good governance of the country on all matters of law and on all sphere of influence, not to be restricted to culture and antiquity. This has clearly demonstrated that he does not only preach the gospel of adherence to the rule of law and democratic tenets, but he also champions same. And Mr. President, distinguished senators, he has also displayed this quality when the military decided to annul the June 12 election, which is adjudged as the most credible, freest, and transparent election, where Chief MKO Abiola of blessed memory got a pan-Nigerian mandate that has never been achieved and is still remains unparalleled and unprecedented in the annals of the history of Nigeria. When this election was annulled, Chief Agua Anoke, as Speaker of the House of Representatives, led the struggle for the actualization of June 12 mandate, of which I was an active participant. So he's a true Democrat, a believer in the rule of law, and a patriot. And he was a legal practitioner. And as a legal practitioner, he's a legal practitioner of repute, a consummate Nigerian, a pan-Nigerian mandate, and we have lost him today. In life, there is a time to be born and a time to die. In between is the time to serve. Mr. Agua Anoke was born, he has died, and in between he has served humanity to the glory of God and to the glory of mankind. And may his soul rest in perfect peace and his family get the fortitude to bear this irreparable loss. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator, Governor, Excellency Oji Uzor.
Mr. President, thank you very much. My name is Oji Uzor. I represent Abia North Senatorial District. Mr. President, I was in the house with them that period, and Agua was our speaker. I will not fail in the House of Representatives, yes. I will not fail not to equalize him, just to say he was a very good man. He was a good speaker, doing the kind of job that the Uncommon is doing. Uncommon, you are not listening to me.
You just mentioned that he was a good man during the time that Uncommon. Then you say Uncommon, you are not listening to me. So
Agua was a very good speaker, and myself and the chief whip and Rabi Ukwankwaso was his deputy. We enjoyed working with him, but it's just in life, everybody must die. Something must kill a man. He's from Senator Ume's constituency. And he's also a very reasonable man. He was in the SDP, then we were in NRC. Now, he died a member of APC. I aligned myself with all Siditume I've just said, because Agumwanakwe, I will not fail to say he was also my in-law. Siditume, am I right? And we were very close to him on that. Mr. President, let me stop so far so that there will be no need for people to shed tears in the floor of the Senate. Thank you very much, Mr. President. May his soul rest in peace.
yeah, Distinguished Senator Victor Man. Distinguished Senator Hanga.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I was also with the late Speaker, Chief Right Honorable Ogunwa Anakwe in 1992 House of Reps. In fact, I was the chairman of the Committee on Water Resources, and so I had I was the chairman on Committee on Water Resources, and so I had reason to interact with him, and we became very close. Sir, for the reason enumerated by the chief whip, Ogunwa Anakwe was a target of the military. They wanted to have him impeached, so much so that they broke our ranks and sponsored some people to Kaduna to go and organize for the impeachment of the late speaker. Unfortunately, we mobilized too. I was among those that went against it. We went to Kaduna, and they couldn't succeed in doing what they wanted. Mr. Speaker was very straightforward, was very courageous, very humble and simple, and that's why we all loved him. In fact, I kept relationship with him up till late. We've been in touch all the time. I've been visiting him and his family for some time, and unfortunately, this is what happened now. So we pray that may God grant him what eternal rest. Thank you. May God grant him eternal rest. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Wadada.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I remain Senator Ahmed Wadada Aliyu Sarkinyak in Kefi. I represent Nasarawa West Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, during the days of Right Honorable Agunwa Anaike, I was not in politics, and I really did not know him. But I read about him, and for the fact that he was a defender of democracy makes it imperative on all of us that are beneficiaries of democracy to celebrate such a man. And having gone back to the Lord, it is a great loss to democracy, a great loss to the nation. And for his contributions, we pray. And not only his contributions, sir, for his contributions and the life he lived, we pray the Lord rewards him for the life he lived. And may the Lord comfort his family by giving them the fortitude to bear this irreparable loss to the nation, to democracy, and of course to the institution of legislature. I thank you.
Yes. Is there no other person that served with distinguished? Okay, yes, Senator, distinguished Senator Bilbis.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I'm Ikra Ali Bilbis, representing Zamfara Central. Your Excellency, my distinguished colleagues, I think my own is or just offer prayers to the deceased. I knew him as my speaker in the Third Republic. He was a man of integrity, honest, hardworking. Speaker Anukwe was an upright person. He was very generous. Your Excellency, Speaker Anukwe, he was, in short, he was a man of good character and all consideration. Therefore, I pray for him. May God give him an eternal rest and may soul rest in perfect peace. That's my small contribution, Your Excellency. Thank you very much.
Distinguished Deputy Senate President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Barrow Jibrin, Kano North. Mr. President, let me join my distinguished colleagues, especially the mover of this motion, Senator Victor Omi, to extend my condolences to the immediate family of the late Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives in the Third Republic, Honorable Chief Agunwa Anekwe, and also extend my condolences to people of Anambra State, the House of Representatives of Nigeria, and of course, the entire National Assembly and the nation at large for the loss of one of those who laid the foundation of the current democracy that we are currently enjoying in this country. Mr. President, I was not a member of the House of Representatives then, because I won election to come into the House of Representatives of Nigeria during the Fourth Republic. That was 1999. But I was a member of the SDP, the party that brought the late Honorable Chief Agunwa Anekwe to the National Assembly before he was elected to be the Speaker. I was a founding member of the SDP, and I was one of those who stood by our party then and stood by our presidential candidate who won the election. The presidential election then was denied to be the president of this country. We all fought to make sure that his mandate was given to him. So we're all in that struggle. We were all members of the June 12 struggle who fought to enthrone democracy in this country, but we were denied that opportunity by the military junta that was in power, who swore that democracy was not to be at that period. And we saw from afar his contribution, the way he contributed to making sure that democracy was allowed to prevail, and that the mandate of Chief M.K. Abiola was restored to him, was given to him, in line with the wishes and aspirations of the majority of Nigerians who voted for him in a very free and fair election. So, the former speaker, the late speaker, will not be forgotten. Nigeria will not forget him. He cannot be forgotten because he stood for democracy. He fought for democracy. And he made sacrifices for democracy. So, he's a hero of a democracy, and he needs to be celebrated. He needs to be celebrated because of his contribution to the democracy we're enjoying now. If not for that struggle, nobody knows what will happen. The military probably will still be in power and will not be enjoying this wonderful democracy that we are now enjoying in this country. So he's our hero. And well, we know it may be sad to lose somebody who you cherish, somebody who has contributed to our nation, but we are all going to die. Once in a time for us individually to die, we'll die. We are not happy that he died, but we know that it is his time. It's time for him to die. Well, the only thing we can do at this moment is to pray that his family, the people of Anambra State, the legislature, the entire nation will have the fortitude to bear this big loss. And I pray that may his soul rest in perfect peace. Mr. President, I still submit.
Distinguished colleagues, I want to thank all for their contributions, and let's look at the prayers. Prayer 1, observe 1 minute silence in honor of the life and legacy of late Right Honorable Chief Agunwa Anakwe, former Speaker, House of Representatives, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Those in support of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, mandate a delegation to pay a condolence visit to the family of the deceased, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the Governor of Anambra State. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, set up a committee to liaise with the House of Representatives to plan for his funeral as a former Vice Chairman of the National Assembly. It is the family that will set up a committee for the burial, and then we can only support. So those in support of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The nays have it. Prayer 4, urge the federal government to immortalize the late Chief Agunwa Anakwe by naming a national public institution or edifice in his honor in recognition of his services to Nigeria and the cause of democracy. Those in support of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So the Distinguished Senator.
SP, you did not, you didn't say those in support of the prayer as amended, because you amended it. You said you are not the one. Prayer 3.
Oh, yes. So
As
the prayer
amended.
3 I said that we should liaise with the family committee. We should set up a committee to liaise with the family funeral committee to ensure a befitting rite of passage. But nobody seconded it. Nobody seconded it. But so, distinguished Senator, you want to amend that prayer? Because when I said it, nobody seconded. That was why.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you very much for the contributions made so far to this motion. On that prayer 3, there's a national burial committee already set up, headed by Senator Steve Zunaso as chairman, and so many members, some of them from this Senate as well. So I would like to say that that the Senate shall liaise with the House of Representatives and the burial committee to plan for his funeral as former Vice Chairman of the National Assembly.
Yes, DSP.
Mr. President, I stand to second the motion.
It's actually an additional prayer because prayer 3 had failed.
Okay. I stand to second the motion for additional prayer as moved by Senator Ume. I so second.
Distinguished colleague, Senator Ume has moved for an additional prayer that this August Assembly, the Senate should liaise with the committee of the House of Representatives and the family to ensure a befitting burial right for our former principal presiding officer. Those in support of this prayer say aye, and those against say nay. So the additional prayer succeeds. So I really, with a great pain in my heart, I want to also join you and all my colleagues in the Senate to express my condolences to the Anakwe family and to say that this was one name that was well heard across Nigeria in respect of democracy, though it was a turbulent period of military interregnum, but it did its best to show that indeed it was committed to democratic principles and ideals, and that was why it partook in that era. Now that he has finished the course and he has been called to by God, we can only pray that God accepts his soul in heaven and his family should have solace that comes from Almighty God. May his soul rest in peace. Can we rise? May the soul of our late presiding officer in the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Anakwe, who has finished his course and has been called to the great beyond, rest in perfect peace. Distinguished colleagues, I don't know which one will follow the other, but just slight information. Immediately after the adjournment, the press will leave us and I will give you a slight information. We should actually proceed to adjourn. But just before we do that, the new chairman of the committee, Senator Net, we are mentioning the new chairman of the committee on leader of the Senate. Is this NDDC or something? No, it's not. I think the new chairman of the Senate Committee on Diaspora and NGOs is distinguished Senator Anyekan Bassi, and it will take effect from today. So we will make some changes to our vice chairmanship positions next week as a result of the fact that some of the senators have two vice chairmanship positions. In fact, I know of one who has three. Maybe his name kept coming up while others do not have. So, leader of the Senate, please assess to make sure everybody is carried along. Every senator should either be a chairman or a vice chairman so that we balance the situation. Yes. Let us. Senator Olamilekon has information to pass to the senators, but in the meantime, leader, move a motion for adjournment. We have finished everything on the other paper, and I hope you had a great day at the at the law school today. No closed session. Move a motion for adjournment. We are through with the other paper for the day. People are going for committee meetings.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, having concluded today's proceedings on the order paper, I hereby move that the Senate do adjourn till Tuesday, 15th July, 2025 at 11 a.m. I so move, Mr. President.
Yes.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that the Senate adjourns until Tuesday, 15th of July, 2025. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, having concluded today's sittings, the Senate leader has moved a motion and seconded by the minority leader that this August Assembly do adjourn to Tuesday, the 15th day of July, 2025 at 11 a.m. prompt. Those in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned. Just before we step out, I will urge Olamilekon. Yayi, just step forward and give them information. Okay.
The Senate has closed. You can off.